Welcome everybody to this week's edition of Valpo Basketball Weekly. Brandon Vickery with you. Glad to be joined via Zoom by the head coach of the Valpo women's basketball program, Mary Evans. Well, Coach, now that you've had some time to process it, a little bit of time to look back, just kind of what are your thoughts and your reaction to a valiant effort that ended in a little bit of heartbreak on Sunday against a nationally ranked Missouri State team?
I think looking back, obviously I'm very proud of our effort in both games this weekend. I thought the team played extremely hard. I thought they played really well together. I think they worked hard together to compete at that level. And, I think they did some things Saturday. We made some adjustments Sunday. I thought we ran our offense much better on Sunday, had better tempo to our offense, and obviously made shots, which makes a big difference. And to have it end the way it did, it hurts a lot, but hopefully this team can grow through that adversity, and be ready to play Bradley this weekend. And I know they're excited about that opportunity to play again and kind of get this bad taste out of their mouth.
Yeah, let's talk more specifically maybe about what those conversations with the team have been like since the game on Sunday. Kind of what's your message? What do you tell the group at this point?
I think when you get opportunities, and we talked about this a little bit last year, our conference is so good that you get multiple opportunities to test yourself against some of the best teams in the country. Missouri State is obviously the head of the class in that this year with the Missouri Valley, with their net ranking and their top 25 ranking. And so, we talked about going toe to toe with a really, really good team. And I think the energy and the effort and the focus they brought to that, if we can figure out how to do that every single game, which is a lot easier said than done, we know that we can play against some of the better teams in this conference and beat those teams. And so, that's kind of been the message out of this, is that, that game was not lost at what happened in the last minute of the game. That game had plenty of plays throughout the game that could have been made or could have done differently that would have put us in a better situation. So a lot of the talk was about being a little bit more detail oriented, not taking plays off, better clock management, just some of those things that we can improve on, that hopefully, if we're in that situation again against another team, we do a better job throughout the course of the game, making sure it doesn't come down to that final play.
You mentioned earlier the turnaround between games, and we talked before the season started, or at least before the conference season started, about what that was going to be like. The two times you've lost the first game, you've certainly bounced back with much better performances in the second game against Illinois State and Missouri State. Just talk to me about what that's like and how you implement those adjustments between games.
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult thing. You're playing two games and sometimes between 22 and obviously a little bit longer, about 26 hours for Missouri State. And I think it's a testament to our young people. I think they take it very serious. I think after the games, they're doing the things that they need to do to take care of their bodies that night. They're getting food in them. They're going home. They're resting. And they're coming in. We've had some ideas of how to handle that as far as a recovery base and how we're walking through the next day. And, they've bought in, and it's 100% about them taking it serious. And I think, when it comes down to playing the next game, it's being able to tell yourself and tell your body that you're stronger than it thinks, right? The mind is an amazing thing, and you can talk yourself out of it, pretty much anything. So I think it takes a lot of positive self-talk, telling yourself you're not tired and you can play, get that next possession. And I think that our young people on our team have done just a fantastic job bouncing back and being mentally tough in that second game of the 2-game series on the weekends.
Let's talk about rebounding, and you talked about how proud you were with the effort on Sunday, the +5 and the rebounding margin. Let's talk more generally, just kind of how do you coach rebounding? What have you done to work on that area, and how do you?
I don't know. If you have any suggestions, let me know. I think it's a hard thing to coach. I think you have to recruit it. I think you can recruit players that have a nose for the basketball. You can recruit players that'll rebound outside of their area. I think you can coach it, but I think there's a lot of things to coach, and so you have to pick and choose what you want to be good at. And rebounding, I think, is extremely important. In the past, we've gotten away with not being as strong of a rebounding team because we turn people over with our defensive scheme. And our defensive scheme puts us at a little bit more of a liability, I think, for our offensive rebounds, just because we front the post. And, so my staff and I have talked, and we've kicked around some ideas of maybe teaching rebounding rotations. But again, there's a lot to learn. And I think that might be something that we could work on getting into next year, as we have actual seniors and 4-year players in our program that know the majority of our stuff. And now that's kind of an additional thing that we can add into what they've already picked up. And it's a lot to learn. If you ask any of our freshmen, their heads are spinning. And we've had a unique situation of adding a couple mid-year high school kids, and I think our freshmen are starting to see how much they have learned when they go watch the young kids trying to pick it up, and they're like, "Wow, okay, yeah, that was me just 3 months ago. Like, I have picked up on quite a bit, and I do know a lot more than I thought." But yeah, it's something that we have to just continue to harp on. I know we've set some game goals recently to try to not get out rebounded and not give up as many offensive rebounds, and just trying to keep it fresh on your mind. But I think a big part of our rebounding improving is the players on the court. And I think, Grace White has really stepped up, rebound the basketball well for us. I think Shay from the guard spot's done a much better job. You bring in people like Maya Dunson, Leah Ernest, and Lauren Gunn, and those are kids that just have a knack for rebounding the basketball.
Let's talk about Bradley. It's kind of long awaited in the sense that you were excited for the Hoops in the Heartland matchup last year. Then everything occurred with that tournament being canceled. Now you match up with Bradley, a team that is led by Lasha Petrie, who's the top scorer in the conference. Maybe how do you slow her down, and what are some of the challenges they present?
They're a really, really good basketball team. Obviously Laisha's very, very talented, but I think, they've got Gabby Hawk on the wing that is also a very good shooter, very good penetrator. Their point guard kind of makes them go. And then Nyjah White inside is just a monster on the boards, is great mid-range, high energy kid. So, I think a lot of it's going to start with us getting matched up in transition, not letting them get any easy threes in transition. And then it's going to be playing our man-to-man defense, talking and communicating switches, and trying not to lose their 3 perimeter players. I think the key is knowing where those kids are and having a person responsible for them, and trying not to let any of those kids really go off. All 3, Hawk and Petrie, either one of them could go for 25, 30 points like that. So we've got to know where they are. We've got to have a person spying them, and we've got to make other people beat us besides those 2.
There she is, the head coach of the Valpo women's basketball program, Mary Evans. Again, Valpo will be home this weekend. You can follow all the action over the course of the season on ESPN3 and ESPN+, and you can follow us on social media for all the latest in Valpo athletics. For the head coach, Mary Evans, I'm Brandon Vickery saying we'll see you again next week on Valpo Basketball Weekly, and it's brought to you by Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute.